Hi to everyone, I'm a research fellow of the University of Florence, Italy, and today I'm here to show you my master's degree research, mapping and controlling invasive alien plants at Capraia Island, Italy. As you know, biological invasions represent one of the main causes of biodiversity loss on a global level. This phenomenon alters many ecosystem processes, can harm human health due to toxicity of some alien plants, and moreover causes economic impacts due to the damage and control cost of invasive species. Finally, in literature, it's well recognized that invasive species causes major impacts on island systems. For this reason, since its launch, the LIFE program, the most important financial instrument for the environmental conservation, has supported numerous projects dealing with invasive species on islands. As we can see in the 𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗶𝘃𝗲 archipelago, since 1998 to 2023, 5 LIFE projects are carried out, focused on control and eradication of invasive plants and invasive predators, such as rats and feral cats. For what regards invasive plant, these projects, like LIFE Capraia, �υ𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗶, LIFE Monte Cristo, Resto con Life, and LIFE �υ𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗶𝘃𝗲, tackle different kinds of invasive plants, such as �υ𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗶, 𝗃𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 species, Acacia species, and 𝗃𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗃𝗃 angulatus. The last one projects, 𝗃𝗃𝘃𝘀𝗃𝗃, still ongoing. All these projects demonstrate how important it is to encourage the first point of the hierarchical approach, the prevention, to immediately identify the pathways of introduction. This work is proposed as a feasibility study for a LIFE project focused on the manual eradication management of the main invasive alien plants in Capraia Island, Tuscan Archipelago, Casmante floribunda, Nicotiana glauca, Opuntia ficus indica, Opuntia stricta, Senecio angulatus, and Zzalteschia ethiopica. This study also aims to update and monitor the spread of these 6 alien plants. For each of them, through a series of surveys and analysis, we mapped the current distribution and we evaluated the extent of the invaded area, identifying the most impacted habitats of conservation interest. Moreover, for each of them, we calculated the eradication costs and we showed 2 different possible scenarios of management. Capraia Island is the 3rd largest island of the Tuscan archipelago with its 19.2 square kilometers. It is located closer to the Corsican coast than to the Tyrrhenian coast. Capraia Island is a mostly mountainous island dominated by the Mediterranean scrub with only 2 small flat areas. The number of endemisms is considerable and 13 terrestrial habitats of conservation interest, 2 of which are priority interest, are recognized. Capraia Island is almost totally included in a special area of conservation, with the exception of the port area and the habitat center. Furthermore, a good part of the island belongs to the Tuscan Archipelago National Park. The island was investigated entirely with extensive exploration focused on areas where the presence of the alien plants was recorded. Accordingly, in order to build an updated map of the current distribution of the 6 alien species, we collected, reported, and georeferenced punctual and spatial data using a smartphone application, OROX Maps, and a paper map of Capraia. After collecting the data on the field, the alien species occurrences were reported in GIS environment. Then we joined our data collected on the field together with other layers, the type of habitat conservation interest, and the vegetation cover. Finally, we obtained the impacts on habitat and vegetation for the area included within the special area of conservation. For what concerns the cost analysis for manual eradication of species, we considered different factors. The land ownership information to understand the type of the area, so if it was public or private, the distance of the polygons from the road network, important to calculate the time of the transport, the slope of the area. In fact, we divided the areas into steep or not steep, for each of which we consider a different kind of intervention, with or without rope. And finally, we considered the degree of priority intervention, low, medium, high, for the genus 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃. The polygons located within the special area of conservation were considered as high priority, those within the village as low priority, and those located between these two contexts as medium priority. In particular, we estimate the times and cost of the manual removal in the following method. We based our calculations on density classes for the genus 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 and on invasive surface square meter for the other species. We calculated time efforts for the manual removal. For genus 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃, when far to the road, we established a mulching intervention, while for 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗀𝗃 ungulatus we suggest the use of a brush cutter. Then we calculated the time efforts for reaching areas and waste management. And finally, we calculated the cost for the subsequent years of intervention. As we can see in this slide, the first results of our study is the distribution map. The invasive alien plants are mainly distributed in the northern eastern area of the island, the more anthropized area where the town and ports are located. Only 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 stricta moves inside the park area, mostly forming small scattered nuclei. However, all investigated species are found within the special area of conservation. The total area invaded by the species amounts to about 71 hectares. The most widely distributed species is 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 stricta with over 17 hectares, while the least widespread is 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗀𝗃. The types of vegetation particularly affected by the invasive phenomenon are coastal vegetation, including vegetated sea cliffs of the Mediterranean coast with endemic limonium and low formation of euphorbia, Euphorbia dendroides scrub, including thermo-Mediterranean and pre-desert scrub, more or less sparse cistus and erica scrub and their mosaics, within which there are Mediterranean xeric meadows and temporary Mediterranean ponds, and finally, vegetation of urbanized areas. For what concerns the eradication costs, it's not surprising that the genus 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 shows the higher costs, given that it's the most widespread. However, it's interesting to note that the cost of the eradication of 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗀𝗃 ungulatus is really high as compared to the other species, although it's not particularly widespread. This is due to the particular type of intervention, which needs the use of the brush cutter. The management costs of the species were estimated to about 57,000 euros for the 4 less common species. Instead, for the 2 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 species, considering the not significant presence of 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃, we estimated the cost in a cumulative assessment, taking into account 2 possible management scenarios. The first scenario provides for the total eradication from the island with an estimated cost of about 480,000 euros, while the second one considers the control of the species only in priority intervention areas with a cost of about 285,000 euros. In conclusion, we can state the urgent removal of the genus 𝗶𝗃𝘃𝗀𝗃 entities with higher impact and diffusion on the island, followed by the eradication of 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 and 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃 ungulatus. However, for what regards 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃, new more detailed analyses are recommended for a cut stump treatment. Finally, as thought indicated as naturalized exotic, we invite the removal of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 floribunda, which is increasingly moving towards areas forming part of habitat of conservation interest. In conclusion, I'm glad to say that these data are already used for a new life project called 𝗽𝗹𝗃𝗀𝗃. Thanks to everyone for the attention.